Hello, and welcome to the day 2 of our AI-powered project management boot camp. I'm so excited, gentlemen and ladies, whoever is watching this video, wherever you're watching it from. I'm really excited about this boot camp because it is an opportunity to empower, upskill, and upgrade a lot of professionals, those who are registered for the bootcamp. We started since yesterday, and yesterday we looked at an introduction into the AI-powered PMP and also the PMP framework, the PMP course itself, all right. What the PMP certification is all about, what the program features and benefits are all about, how to become a certified project management professional, and of course the course curriculum, the skills that you're going to learn, the bonuses attached to the course, the course fee and all that. So we looked at all that in the last class. So today we are going to be diving into the project management framework, right? And we are going to be doing a sneak peek into the project management body of knowledge, which is the PMBOK. Like I mentioned in the last class, the PMBOK is the body of knowledge, project management body of knowledge, that is the standard for all project managers everywhere around the world, and it was created by project leaders from around the world, and it is endorsed and accredited by the Project Management Institute, which is the governing authority for the highest project management certification around the world, which is the PMP. Okay, my name is Chike Onyekachukwu, the principal consultant and project manager at Mindware Consulting Limited. I'm your host and your anchor for these sessions throughout the boot camp. Of course, we're going to be having one more class. So once again, I want to welcome you, and I know that this is going to be a transformational session for you. Okay, so having said that, let's move on. Now, we are going to be looking at the introduction to project management and the PMI framework. That's the Project Management Institute's framework. Now, like I said earlier, this is actually the curriculum. This is actually the curriculum that we use for our PMP training program, all right, to train and certify our project managers. So in this boot camp, we thought about, helping a lot of us, especially those who are aspiring project managers and entry-level project managers who has never done any course at all or taken any formal or informal training as far as project management is concerned, but they have found themselves in project management roles, or they are intending or aspiring to go into project management roles. So this bootcamp is more or less like, helping you to get a head start on what project management is. So the curriculum we're sharing with you is the actual curriculum that we teach in our paid class. So, you're more than favored to be getting this, all right? So we're going to be looking into the Module 1. We'll take some of the sections, the preliminary sections in the Module 1, so as to help you understand what the project is, what project management is, and the PMI framework, all right? So that you can be able to make an informed decision as to whether or not you want to go further and get into the mastery session, take the full course, and then become a certified project management professional. I mean, that is going to open up a whole world of opportunities to you, like we shared in the previous class. Okay, so moving on. Let's look at the course outline. In the course, we're going to be looking at the overview and purpose of this guide. All right, so this is the week 1, module 1. All right, so herein you have the standard for project management according to the Project Management Institute, and then we're going to be looking at the vocabulary. What vocabularies do project managers use? Every profession has its vocabulary, its lingua franca, its professional jargon. Okay, so in project management we have the same. All right, so that's the common vocabulary. Okay, so next is the code of ethics and professional conduct. In project management, just like you have in every profession, there is a code of ethics. Medical doctors have their code of ethics, their professional conduct, do's and don'ts as far as the profession and the practice is concerned. Same in project management. All right, we're going to look at the foundational elements. What are those foundations that you need to have as a project manager, all right, to be successful? Then we'll look at projects and the importance of project management. Then also look into relationship of project, program, portfolio, and operations management. And then, of course, components of the guide, talking about the PM guide. What are the components inside of it? Okay. And then also, all right, so we're going to look at the components of the guide. What are the components of the PMBOK guide? All right, so these are the things we're going to look at in today's class. Like I said, it is just some of the preliminary sessions in the module 1, week 1 of our main PMP course. All right, so this is to help you get a head start. But let's move on now. Okay, so section 1 talks about the overview and purpose of the PMBOK guide. All right, like I said before, the PMBOK serves as the guide or foundation for your PMP journey. Okay, so everything we're going to be looking at as far as PMP is concerned comes from the PMBOK. So you can see this is more like an overview into the project management landscape. All right, as a form of introduction, let's talk about the Project Management Institute, which is the governing body for project management. All right, the PMI developed the PMBOK, which is the project management body of knowledge. And the PMBOK is a globally recognized standard for project management. In other words, it is the globally recognized script or a body of information that every project manager all around the world can leverage on as a source of knowledge and guidance in the course of their practice as project managers, irrespective of industry, irrespective of the project management roles they handle. They can leverage on the information in the PMBOK guide, all right, to effectively execute projects from start to end. Okay, so what is the purpose of the PMBOK guide? And that is to equip you as a project manager or an aspiring project manager with the right knowledge and skills necessarily to become a proficient project manager and successfully pass the PMP certification exam. All right, so that is what the guide is meant to do for you. All right, so in moving on, the PMBOK guide has a structure. All right, and it is organized into knowledge areas. All right, we have knowledge areas, we have process groups, and within those process groups we have processes. So this is the structure of the PMBOK. It has knowledge areas, it has process groups, and then you have processes. All right, but if we are to divest it further, it goes much further and deeper and deeper. But we'll just take these 3 preliminary levels, okay? Now, it actually outlines the best practices and principles essential for effective project management. So that's what it does. Like I said, it outlines best practices, globally acceptable practices, all right, for essential project management. Now, throughout the training program, we'll explore each knowledge area and its related processes in detail, ensuring you are well prepared for the PMP exam. And not just for the PMP exam, the knowledge, the technology, the systems, the tools that you're going to be getting from this training program. Now I'm talking about the mastery classes. They are actually going to equip you to handle project management roles anywhere in the world. All right, so it's not just about helping you prepare for the PMP exam, going through the required minimum 35-hour training and education in project management like we saw, which is part of the criteria for taking the PMP exam. But apart from that, it's also going to equip you with what you need, all right, the technology that you need to be able to handle any project management role that is given to you anywhere, whether in your organization or anywhere, all right, and then open you up to opportunities, all right, for expansion and career growth. Okay, so what are the key takeaways from here? By now you have understood the significance of the PMBOK guide as the industry standard for project management. All right, you are now able to recognize the purpose of this guide in preparing you for the PMP certification exam and also for project management roles. All right, you've now gotten acquainted with the guide's structure and its relevance to your project management journey. Remember, I said the guide is actually structured into knowledge areas, process groups, and processes. Okay, now you're able to embrace the roadmap that will guide you through the upcoming weeks of this training program. All right, so understanding the overview and purpose of the PMBOK guide is a crucial step in your PMP preparation. In the next section, we'll delve into the standard for project management. Keep up the great work and let's continue our journey towards PMP success. Okay, so let's move on to section 2. You can see how the program is structured, right? Very simple, straightforward, all right, and just flowing. So we're done with section 1 now in module 1. Now we're moving to section 2, still in module 1, all right? So here we'll be looking at the standard for project management, all right? So we'll explore the cornerstone for project management practices all around the world. So without further ado, let's dive in. Okay, so when we say the standard for project management, what exactly are we talking about? So let's look at it in terms of a definition. The standard for project management refers to the globally recognized guide developed by the Project Management Institute. Right? It outlines the best practices, principles, and processes used by project managers worldwide to deliver successful projects. I love this. Question: do you want to be the project manager that delivers successful projects? If your answer is yes, then you are in the right boot. I mean, not the boots that they wear on the Lego. I mean, talking about Bootcamp, right? So you are in the right place, in the right space where you're getting the right information that's going to help you achieve that objective to be able to deliver successful projects. Now, what is the importance of this standard? Why is it so important? The standard is crucial for ensuring consistency and uniformity in project management practices across industries and organizations. Now, this field of project management where we play, it is one that requires precision, one that emphasizing on accuracy. You cannot afford to be misguided, confused, or making unnecessary errors, because the work that we do involves human lives. Talking about building bridges, talking about building structures, skyscrapers, talking about building automobiles. I mean, things that are going to help sustain life on earth, things that are going to help keep society stable and balanced. All right. So we cannot afford to harbor or allow errors in the things that we do. That's why there ought to be uniformity. There ought to be consistency. There ought to be standards. Whether you are working in a village in Nigeria or in Nairobi or in New York, there has to be standard. There has to be consistency. There has to be precision in the measurement, in the things that you do. That is the importance of this PMBOK guide. That's why we have this standard for project management. Okay, so it provides a common language and framework for project managers to communicate and collaborate effectively. Now, that's number 2. Number 1 is that it helps to provide consistency, uniformity in our practices. And then also, it gives us a lingua franca. As project managers, we can understand each other as long as we are communicating within the framework, within the confines of the project management body of knowledge. We can relate, we can flow. Okay, so there is no misconstruction, there is no confusion. All right, we can actually communicate and collaborate so that we can have successful projects. All right, moving on. What are the key elements here? The standard for project management encompasses 5 key elements. And what are they? Number 1, process groups. Okay, so the process groups. We have the process group, which include the initiation, planning, executing, monitoring and control, and closing. Now, these are like the 5 pillars in project management. You have the pillar that has to do with initiation, initiating the project. You have the pillar that has to do with planning the project. You have the pillar that holds the execution. You have the one that holds the monitoring and control. And at the end of the day, you have the pillar that wraps up everything. That is the closing. Number 2, the knowledge areas. Now, when it comes to knowledge areas, we're not talking about body of knowledge. All right, we're not talking about whole concepts that encapsulate different areas apart as far as project management is concerned. All right, so we have the integration, we have the scope. All right, we have the schedule, the cost, the quality, resources, communications, risk, procurement, and stakeholder management. So these are knowledge areas or knowledge clusters that you ought to have as a project manager. You have to understand integration, project management integration. How do you integrate resources? You have to understand scope. What is the scope of the project that you're about to go into? You have to understand schedule, talking about time. How do you allocate time to different activities? Costs. You have to understand cost management. How do you cost each activity, each item, each task? All right, so that at the end of the day, you don't go over the budget. In fact, executing a successful project, one of the signs that your project is overtly successful is that you executed and completed the project below the budget. Hello? So that is why you ought to be thinking in terms of cost management. All right, so that's the whole body of knowledge area as far as project management is concerned. Then you have quality. You need to be able to execute your project, bring about your deliverables and your outcomes to specification. Every project has specified goals and objectives. Every project has stakeholder requirements. So while you are executing, you are ensuring that the outcomes of each activity, each task, each process is to specification. All right? Zero tolerance for error. So that's where quality management comes in. And then we have resources, human resources. What kind of people do you need? Where do you need them? How do you collaborate with them? How do you ensure that each of them is engaged, doing what they're supposed to be doing, when they're supposed to be doing it, and how they are supposed to be doing it? So that's resources management. Then you have communications. How do you communicate with different cadres of people? As a project manager, you're going to be working with different subject matter experts. Most of the times, they are scattered all around the world with in different time zones. All right. At different educational level. Okay. With different expertise. How on earth do you communicate with all those people to ensure that everybody is in alignment and on the same page to be able to deliver the project as required? So that's where communications come in. And then you have risk. Whoa, this is another one. In fact, it's actually one of the constraints in project management. So you have to understand that every project has risk inherent in it. So how do you identify those risks? How do you analyze the risk? How do you quantify the risk? And how do you even mitigate the risks to ensure that it doesn't impede on the progress of your project or any aspect of your project at all? That's risk management. And then you have procurement. Okay, what are the items that are needed? What are the materials? What are the tools? What are the machines that are needed for the project? How do you procure them? Do we even need to procure them? How about making them in-house? Well, those are the things you're going to be talking about in project management. And then, procurement management. And then you have stakeholder management. As a project manager, you're going to be dealing with stakeholders, your team members, government agencies, regulatory agencies, community members, and the list goes on and on. Of course, depending on the kind of project you're handling and where that project is, right? So stakeholder management is a very, very key element in the successful outcome of your project. So these are the clusters of knowledge areas that you need to understand in project management. And of course, in the full program, we're going to be looking at them one after the other. But like I said, this is just to give you a sneak peek into them. All right. So next is inputs, tools, and techniques. So for every activity, for every process, we have what we call inputs. All right. Inputs, garbage in, garbage out. So in project management, the inputs will determine the tools and the techniques that you use, and then of course the outputs. All right. So the guide, the PMBOK guide, outlines the inputs, tools, and techniques used in each process to achieve project objective. Then you have the output. It defines the tangible results or deliverables of each process. All right. Now, next key element in the standard is interactions. All right. And what does it mean? It means how processes and knowledge areas interact and influence each other. So you're going to be seeing the outplay of this interaction between processes and these knowledge areas I just explained now. All right. They are very, very important. So you can be able to tell the distinctions, the discrepancies, the alignment, to know which applies to what and where. All right. So that at the end of the day, you'll be able to navigate through your project and have successful outcomes. Alignment with PMP exam. Familiarity with the standard for project management is critical for your PMP exam preparation, as it forms the basis for the exam questions and scenarios. Now, this is very important because the PMP exam itself, which we're going to help you prepare, all right, of course, that's part of this program anyway. So the exam has to do with the being familiar with the standard of this project management. So the things I just outlined here, these key elements are very important for you to know, all right, and be acquainted with when going into the PMP exam. Okay. All right. So what are the key takeaways here? What are the key takeaways here? Now you understand the definition and significance of the standard of project management as a global guide for project management practices. I'm sure now you also recognize its importance in providing consistency and a common language for project managers. Now you're acquainted with the key elements, including the process groups, the knowledge areas, inputs, tools, techniques, outputs, and also interaction. All right. Now also you acknowledge that the alignments with this standard, okay, the alignment of the standard with the PMP certification is very, very critical. Okay, so congratulations, you've gone through the sections 1 and 2. So let us move on. Okay, now let's talk about communication. Like I said, in every profession, there is what we call a lingua franca, professional jargon. Doctors have their own, right? Legal practitioners have their own. Engineers, they have theirs. In every field, in every profession, they have theirs. And project management is a profession, a very serious one. In fact, all these other people I mentioned, they are even included under the project management profession. Yeah. So we should have a common vocabulary, which of course we do. All right. So we're going to be learning what are those common vocabularies used in project management and how do you use them in your everyday communication so that you can be understood and you can have actions taken in line with your intended objective. Okay, so let's dive in. All right. Now, in terms of definition, a common vocabulary refers to the standardized terms and expressions used in project management. And these terms are universally recognized and help ensure clear and consistent communication among project stakeholders. All right. So we're going to be seeing some of those terms shortly, but it's good you understand this aspect of it. Now, why is it important? Having a common vocabulary is vital for avoiding misunderstanding and confusion during project discussions. You can see these professionals having a discussion. So you don't want to have misunderstanding, right? You don't want someone to have the wrong picture, all right, or get the wrong signal from what you have said, because that is going to lead to the wrong actions. And the wrong action could bring about collateral damages to our project. So we don't want that to happen. That is why we need to have a common vocabulary and uniformity, as well as consistency in our mode of communication. It allows project managers to convey information accurately and enable team members to align their understanding of project related concepts. Okay, so what are these key terms? Now let's look at them. Let's explore what the key terms are. You have projects, all right? You have project management, and these are key. You have stakeholders. We talk about scope. We talk about deliverables, all right? We talk about risk. We talk about issue. We talk about change control. You can hear baseline. You will also be hearing critical parts. All right. So all these are key terms that we use in our project management practices. All right. So you're going to be learning how to incorporate them into your own communication. All right. Now we'll discuss how these terms are applied in various project management scenarios and their significance in ensuring project success. Okay. So you have to learn that. All right. What are the key takeaways from here? You now understand the concept of common vocabulary in project management and its role in effective communication. You now recognize the importance of using standardized terms to avoid misunderstanding. And then you've also familiarized yourself with the key project management terms and their meanings. Okay. All right. So I didn't quite talk about the meaning of all of them, which we're going to be seeing them as we go through this module 1, and then of course much more in the full course. All right. Now you've been able to identify use cases of these terms in real projects. Okay, so that also we're going to do in the full course, so you can identify the use cases where these terms can be applied. All right, so congratulations again, you are through with another section. Let's go to section 4. Here we're going to be talking about code of ethics and professional conduct. Code of ethics and professional conduct. All right, like I said initially, every profession has its code of ethics, its professional conduct, its core values, and project management as a profession is not an exception. Now, what are these code of ethics and professional conducts? In definition, code of ethics and professional conduct is a set of guiding principles established by the Project Management Institute that outlines the ethical behaviors expected from project managers, project management professionals. All right. So there are expected behaviors, and there are behaviors that will not be condoned as far as project management is concerned. So the code of ethics defines these behaviors, acceptable behaviors. All right, and then also even underscores behaviors that will not be acceptable as far as the project management practice is concerned. So the code serves as a moral compass guiding project managers in making ethical decisions and conducting themselves, all right, with honesty, fairness, and responsibility. All right, so let's move on. Let's look at what the core values are for project managers. Number 1 is responsibility. You have to take ownership of decisions and actions, ensuring they align with project objectives and stakeholder expectations. So the project manager, you have to be as a project manager, you have to be responsible. All right. Number 2, respect. Treating all stakeholders with courtesy, fairness, and consideration. So there should be no preferential treatment, no favoritism. Have respect and equal treatment for everyone. This will help to form a collaborative and inclusive environment. Now, fairness is also another core value, ensuring impartiality in decision making and avoiding favoritism or discrimination. Honesty, communicating truthfully, maintaining transparency, and safeguarding confidential information. So you have to be honest. Not only do you have to be honest, you have to be discreet with information given to you. All right. So keep up with the excellent work, and we'll continue with our PMP journey. So let's look at the ethical standards. The code outlines specific ethical standards including integrity and honesty, respect for individuals, fairness and transparency, responsibility for actions, confidentiality. Very important, be confidential. When you have documents given to you by a client or an organization that's not meant for public view, don't go and put them in the public domain. All right, or allow third-party access to it. Okay, very important. Conflict of interests, so don't have conflict of interests. Compliance with laws and regulations, so you have to ensure that there are no conflicts of interest. Compliance with laws and regulations. Now you have to ensure that whatever you do as you go about executing your project, it has to be in compliance with reviewed laws and regulation. So how do you apply this now? We'll explore real-life scenarios where the Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct guide project managers in making ethical choices. So what are key takeaways from this section now? Understand the purpose and significance of the codes of ethics and professional conduct in project management. Alright, you've been able to familiarize yourself with the core values and ethical standards upheld by project management professionals. And then you've recognized the importance of ethical behavior in building trust and credibility. Okay. Alright, so congratulations. You're done with this section. Now let's look at section 5, foundational elements. Now as a project manager, you need to have a robust foundation. Not just as a project manager, in every profession, you have to have those foundational elements. Alright? You have to have those foundational elements. You have to have those foundational elements as far as project management is concerned. Alright, so let's dive into them so we can work with them. Now, in terms of definition, foundational element refers to the fundamental principles and factors that are essential for effective project management. Alright, so it is those factors that will ensure that your project runs through successfully from start to finish. Understanding and applying these elements contributes to project success. Alright, so let's talk about leadership now. In project management, leadership is everything. Leadership is everything. Effective project management starts with a strong leadership. So as a project manager, you are also and especially as a project leader. Alright? You also and especially operate as a project leader. So you have to understand the principles of leadership. A project manager must inspire and guide the people. Alright? You must inspire and guide the team that you'll be working with. Provide clear direction and foster a collaborative and motivated environment for your team to thrive. So in continuation, stakeholder engagement. You need to be able to engage your stakeholders. Very, very important. You need buy-in. You need to be in agreement. You need adherence from your stakeholders. All right. Know which one has what requirements, so that can be inculcated into the overall project's plan. Okay. You should be able to understand their needs and expectations, help to ensure project success. Okay. And this is very important. Let's talk about team dynamics. Now, as a project manager who is working with a team of people, you need to understand that people evolve, people grow, people change. All right? That's what we mean by team dynamics. And if you do not understand this and handle it effectively so that it doesn't influence your project negatively, you will have a problem. Okay, so you need to understand team dynamics. Building and managing a cohesive project team. All right. Very, very important. All right. In continuing, clear objectives. Part of the criteria for having proper stakeholder engagement is clear objectives. Everyone needs to be on the same page. Everyone needs to have a clear picture of the goal, where we're going. All right? Like I said, I won't talk. So everyone needs to have a clear sense of direction and purpose. Everyone needs to be on the same page. Everyone needs to see at the same level. All right? To avoid conflict. Well-defined objectives help guide decision making and resource allocation. Okay, so let's talk about scope now. The scope of a project management is like the holistic view of the project. Managing project scope ensures that the project stays focused and on delivering the intended practices. Very, very important. Managing project scope ensures that the project stays focused on delivering the intended outcomes. All right. So with scope management, you can understand what is included in the project and what is not included in the project, so that you cannot go beyond the boundaries of your project. It involves defining, validating, and controlling the project outcome. It involves defining, validating, and controlling the project scope. All right. So let's move on. Risk management. So this is part of the things we'll look at as the foundational element. This has to do with identifying and managing risks proactively, all right, for minimizing potential issues and uncertainties that could impact the project's success. So when it comes to risk management, you cannot afford to toil with this, all right, because the destruction is in the details. The disaster is in the details. All right. And sometimes some risks that are very inimical to the success of your project could be so subtle you may not identify them, you may not even notice them, but they are capable of causing monumental damage to the project. In fact, bringing the whole project aground. So as a project manager, you have to understand that risk is a very, very critical factor to the success of your project. So you want to keep an eye on that. Next is change management. Now, you have to understand that throughout the life cycle of your project, you're going to have changes. Changes in people, changes in systems, changes in processes, changes in prices, even changes in weather. Hello? So you want to be able to manage these changes so that they don't impede on your project. Projects often encounter changes that require proper handling and adaptation. Okay, so change management involves assessing, approving, and implementing changes effectively. Very important. All right, so what are the key takeaways right here from this section? By now, you've been able to understand the significance of foundational elements in project success. You also recognize the importance of strong leadership, stakeholder engagement, and team dynamics. You've also been able to appreciate the value of clear project objectives and effective scope, risk, and change management. Applying these elements to enhance your project outcome and delivery is the focus. All right, that's very important. Now let's move on to the next section. Congratulations, you've done section 5. So let's go to section 6. Now this is the crux of this class. All right, where you now learn what project is and the importance of project management. All right, so let's dive in. Now, when you talk about a project, what are you really talking about? What do you mean when you use the word a project? A project is a temporary endeavor with a defined beginning and end, undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. Okay? Projects are distinct from ongoing operations and have specific goals and constraints. Okay, so when you're dealing with a project, you know you are dealing with a project. When you're dealing with an ongoing operation, you know that that is an operation, and you deal with it accordingly. So a project is temporal, a temporary endeavor, and temporary endeavor doesn't have to do with the duration. It only means that this thing has a definite beginning and a definite end. Doesn't matter whether it is 2 minutes, 2 years, 2 decades, or even 2 centuries. We know that the project is going to start at this time. We know that it's going to end at this time. All right? So that's what it means. And then, of course, we know that at the end of the duration of the project, we should have a unique product, a service, a result, some form of outcome. So the focus should be on the outcome or the goal. So what are examples of projects? We have different types of projects depending on the organization, depending on the industry. And that includes improving a business process within an organization, right? So we bring in a consultant, right, like we do in our organization, and then they help improve an aspect of the business, a process of the business. For us, we handle the web platforms for organization and helping them expand their reach online. So we develop processes that can make that happen. Digital marketing systems and processes to help them bring in more clients, all right, and grow their business. So that is a project, all right? We help companies handle that. All right, so acquiring and installing a new computer hardware within an organization, that could also be a project, okay? Because you have to go through all the processes and practices that are involved in project management to get that done. Okay, constructing a building, that is a huge project. Developing a new pharmaceutical compound for a market, that is a project. Conducting research to develop a new manufacturing process, that is a project. So we have different examples of projects. You can include your own and you can drop it on the WhatsApp community so that we can see. Now, what are the characteristics of a project? First and foremost, I've already established that a project has defined beginning and end. All right. So we can add some more to that. The project has unique deliverables. All right, the project is meant to create one of a kind outcome, a distinct outcome, a unique outcome, a specific outcome that is predefined, all right, and known by all stakeholders. So nobody should be confused, all right, or at a loss about what the outcome or the deliverable of this project is going to be. All right, also we have a defined scope. The projects have clear boundaries and objectives, okay? Temporary in nature. So a project is temporary in nature. Like I said, it has a defined start, it has a defined end. And then, of course, cross-functional teams. Projects involve professionals, diverse expertise, human resources from different fields. All right, depending on the kind of projects and its complexity. So you have engineers, you could have quantity surveyors, you could have marketers, you could have product managers, you could have all different kinds of people, even the legal team, involved in your particular project, depending on the project you're handling. So that's why we say it is cross-functional. It cuts across several functional lines. All right. Progressive elaboration. Projects evolve as details become clearer. Now, at the outset of the project, you may have your project plan laid out, right? But then there are certain things as you go deep down into the project, we call that top-bottom analysis. So as you are going from the top to the bottom, there are certain things that may not be that clear, especially at the outset. But as you progress in the course of the project, those details become clearer as you go along. Okay? Now let's look at definition and importance of project management. Now, project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet project requirements. It helps individuals, groups, public and private companies in diverse ways. All right. So when we talk about project management, we are talking about how do we apply knowledge, how do we apply technology, how do we apply skills, tools to predefined project activities, so that to give us a project requirement at the end of the day. So project management ensures that projects are executed efficiently, and this is very important. This is the reason why, as a project manager, you have to apply project management principles and methodologies, and also ensure to use the prescribed tools. All right, now we're talking about AI-powered project management, using AI tools to be able to execute your project efficiently. Okay, it helps in meeting objectives within constraints. In project management, we have a whole lot of constraints. We have costs, we have risk, right? We have time, we have quality. So these are constraints, broadly looking at them. So when you now come down to specific project types or areas, you could now even expand that list to other constraints. All right, but in all, when you're working with project management methodology, you're working within the project management framework, you will be able to overcome these constraints. Okay, project management provides structure, processes, and tools to navigate complexities and uncertainties. We operate in a world of so much complexity, in a world of so much uncertainty. That's why you cannot afford to operate as a layman, doing things arbitrarily. So you should have standards, defined processes, operating procedures for everything that you do. This is what makes you a professional. So at the end of the day, you are confident about your outcomes. All right? You're not doing guesswork. You can beat your chest and say, hey, come on, turn on the tap. Water is going to flow. You can confidently say, hey, switch on the lights, and it's going to come on. That's what we're talking about. Put the vehicle on the road and it's going to move. All right. You're also confident about the outcome of your project. This is what we're talking about. Right? Structures, processes, tools that help you navigate those complexities and uncertainties. Okay. Project management helps to deliver the right product at the right time. Very important. Timely delivery. Very, very important. Project management helps to resolve problems and issues. So you don't want to have conflicts within your team. So you want to be able to resolve problems as quickly as possible. Okay? And then also it helps to identify, recover, and terminate failing projects. So we have the closing process. So when we at the end of the project, we can easily apply the closing procedures, all right, to be able to close our project. Or if at all you discover that, hey, come on, this project can no longer be sustained, then you quickly cut your losses and apply the closing procedures to bring it to a close. Okay? All right, let's look at business value creation. In all, the essence of project management is to create value within our organization. Okay, as you can see in this diagram, current state, then project activities A, B, C, etc. Then future state, we have a new scenario. All right, so that's business value. Delivering projects on time and within budget. That is a business value. Meeting stakeholder expectation. That is a business value. Minimizing risk and uncertainty. Huge business value. Enhancing collaboration and communication. Okay, so these are business values that project management helps us to bring about within our organizations. Now, what about poor project management? Like I mentioned, project management helps you to execute your projects efficiently. But if you do it poorly, all right, there are going to be consequences, schedule delays, missed deadlines, budget overruns, quality issues, dissatisfied stakeholders, rework, have to spend time doing the work again. Uncontrolled expansion of projects. I mean, the projects will just be going on and on and on and on. Hey, come on, man. I thought you said a project has a defined start and end date. But when your project starts shooting off of time, it's just going on its own with no end in view. It's no longer a project, though. That is the outcome of poor project management. All right, what are the key takeaways from this section? Obviously, you've been able to understand the definition and characteristics of a project, recognize the importance of project management in achieving project objectives, and also you appreciate the business value added by effective project management. You also acknowledge the consequences of poor project management. So you want to take this thing seriously as you go about handling your projects. So let's look at section 7. Congratulations, you're done with section 6. I hope you're getting value from this. So now we're going to be talking about relationships, all right? Relationship between project, program, portfolio, and operations management, all right? But I think I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm going to stop it here. We still have a whole lot. I think the module 1 is about, I think, 12 sections, all right? And then you take the quiz and move on to the next module. So I'm going to stop here. And in module 7, we talk about the projects management, program management, portfolio management, and then operations management. You're going to learn a whole lot about this in the full PMP course. So I want to encourage you, if you have come thus far, then it means you're really interested in learning project management, and you're desiring of mastering this and actually using it to advance your career, which is what it's going to achieve for you. So you want to get enrolled in the mastery sessions, which we're going to be starting up shortly. So immediately after watching this video, ensure you reach out to the admin and get registered. All right, so I want to thank you for watching, participating so far. I know you have gotten enough value, you've learned a lot, so kindly jump on the community, the WhatsApp community, and drop some things you have learned in the course of our discussion, and I'll surely respond. All right, so thank you, and we'll continue within the WhatsApp community. Bye for now. So remember, the last class is going to be on AI. So we're going to be doing a dive into one of the AI that we use, all right, for managing our projects. So look out for the next class, the next video, so as to be able to get a hands-on that AI tool and how you can use it to manage your projects. That is also what we do in the full PMP course. That one, you'll be getting the AI, you'll be getting the full training on that, and of course you'll be using it to execute real life projects, which will be given to you. Okay, so but tomorrow we're just going to do a dive into it and an overview, so that you get a heads up of the Jira AI. That's what it is. All right, but for now, take care.